But we can move on now. WWE, right? This week, their final shows in North America for the rest of March, which is crazy to think, right? They were in New York City for Monday Night Raw. NXT was in the theater at Madison Square Garden. I don't necessarily like NXT talking about how, like, the storied venue that they were in. Like, WrestleManias have been here. Royal Rumbles have been here. Yes, they've been there, but not where you are. What has been where you are, where WrestleMania closed circuit parties. That's where you are. People watch WrestleMania on television where you are. You're not in the actual venue. You're in the theater at Madison Square Garden. That's had many names, the Hulu Theater, all sorts of things. I mean, it's a fine venue. It's cool that it's still a part of Madison Square Garden. It's still a historic venue. They've had a lot of boxing, UFC, some smaller things there. So no issue there. But it's just, WrestleMania wasn't ever at the theater at Madison Square Garden. It was at Madison Square Garden. But that's where Raw was this week. And we're kind of zoom right ahead to the main event, Monday Night Raw, because I felt kind of lackluster. I thought we were getting kind of like the Raw at the Intuit Dome on Netflix that we got earlier in the month in WrestleMania season. But it was really just a top-heavy show. The main event was where we wanted to be. The cage match that ends up getting interrupted by Roman Reigns in what we didn't necessarily know was going to interrupt here, but we knew that a triple threat was down the line. And what is your make of this whole story with this triple threat, right? And did you like the cage match? Let's just say the cage match itself. Did you enjoy the cage match before Roman Reigns got involved?
Yes, and real quick, I did go on the record on our podcast probably a month or two ago, and I predicted this was going to probably be the triple threat at WrestleMania. So I got to give myself a little pat on the back on that one. So I'm not really surprised Roman got himself involved here. It was cool to see it. But I'm glad that Seth and CM Punk put on a really good show. I enjoyed the match. I liked the way Cole and McAfee, they called the match. It was like they hyped up the fact that, like, for a good portion of it, there was no pinfalls. Like, they just wanted to beat the crap out of each other, and it just made it even more cool because it made it more of a fight feel. And you got to see a lot of GTSs, a lot of stomps, a lot of just kicking the crap out of each other. It was a knockout, knockout drag out kind of a fight. Like, it was really good. And I enjoyed it. I thought the storytelling was really good in the match. A lot of back and forth. We didn't know who was going to win until Roman Reigns said, "Nah, we're gonna pull Seth Rollins out of the ring." And because Seth Rollins was out of the cage, he officially won the match. But just when you thought maybe him and Seth they're okay, not so fast. Roman kicked the crap out of him, and it took the security and all the WWE officials to make sure Seth Rollins was not permanently injured because Roman was about to do some damage outside the ring. Luckily, thankfully, Adam Pearce and company came out like they usually do and broke things up. But no, wait, there's more. Roman Reigns goes in the ring and takes care of some things with CM Punk. And, the wise man was in there as well, so that was an interesting element. So by the end of the night, Seth Rollins won, CM Punk lost, and Roman Reigns just kicked the crap out of everybody.
I like this, that everyone is loving this triple threat idea. And I have to say that I'm a little skeptical about my excitement for it. I mean, a lot of people are saying, like, this should be the main event of the whole show. This is awesome. Huge names, all that stuff. And I'm a little more trepidatious about this triple threat match in the sense of how they're going to book it, where I have a hard time caring about triple threats where championships aren't on the line, because rivalries, for the most part, don't involve more than two people, right? It's one-on-one. Those are feuds. Those are awesome. Trying to get me to care about a feud with three different people with no championship or anything on the line is going to be a tough sell, I think.
Even with the three players involved?
Even with the three players involved, because, again, it's not just about the star-studded. If it's a championship match, star-studded, awesome. WrestleMania 20, right? Star-studded triple threat match for the main event.
These three guys don't need a title to be on the line to make it a great match. I think it's good.
They don't need it to make it a great match. I just don't, because here's the issue with a triple threat match, right? There's one pinfall. I don't think it's going to be an elimination match, right? So, I mean, are we really going to get the ends of stories here? Because, again, if Roman Reigns pins Seth Rollins, that ain't finishing that story. If CM Punk pins Roman Reigns, that ain't finishing his story. So it's,
I think that's the point. I think that's the point, because I feel like this could drag out one way or the other at SummerSlam at a later date.
Oh, so again, if you're talking about this not being the finality, because, again, having this as like a story but involving multiple people, It's just like a three-way in real life, right? It's hard to give attention to the people when you got three people involved. You can't give everyone equal attention. One-on-one is much better, right? 100% of attention going one way or the other. And when it comes to like championships, you got something on the line, so it has that individualness at stake. But here it's all about story, and it's all about why I should care that Roman Reigns hates Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins hates Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns hates CM Punk. CM Punk hates Seth Rollins. I will say, and I know we got so much time to talk about this in the coming weeks because obviously WrestleMania is still a ways away. I think a triple threat match that I think the stories kind of come around perfectly, where it's like that diagram where this person hates everyone equally, would it be if you actually substitute out Roman Reigns and you'd have put in Drew McIntyre? Because last year, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk was the rivalry. CM Punk and Seth Rollins right now is the rivalry. So like, and then what was the championship match last year? Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. There's the rivalry. So every like individual is perfect. I'm having a hard time wondering why CM Punk cares about Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins caring about Roman Reigns, yes. CM Punk caring about Seth Rollins, yes. Roman Reigns and CM Punk is just that tie-in that I'm going to.
You already know what it is.
Time.
It's the wise man. That's what it is. It's for the admiration of the wise man.
It's Paul Heyman and what's the favor and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it's gonna and you got. Here's the other part to it too. The wise man wasn't in the ring by accident. Let's be honest there. Mm-hmm. When CM Punk was laid out there, who was in the ring tending to him? Paul Heyman. Who came in and saw this and was not happy about it? Roman Reigns. And what did Roman Reigns do in spite of all that? He speared CM Punk. I think there's going to be, and here's the thing. To be fair, I mean, Paul Heyman is one of those guys, and not to go too far on a tangent, but there's been reports that he's been working strictly with Braun Breaker to really build him up as of late. So Paul Heyman is a very important player in the business. So I think CM Punk and Roman Reigns, I think that's natural heat because they both want the admiration of the wise man. Simple as that.
I will say when it comes to WWE stories, we've dissed them a little bit about The Rock prior to Elimination Chamber, but since then, to be honest with you, I'm okay with. I may not be a fan of it now. I'm saying that, but what I am saying also is that I am willing to let WWE show me I'm wrong. We have like over a month till WrestleMania, so I'm willing to sit back and to see where this goes. Maybe come WrestleMania time, I am super invested. Just the early indications, it's hard to hook me in with a triple threat in general, even if it's for the championship. It's just tough to hook me in with a triple threat right from the start, and that goes for Bianca, Io, and Rhea. So far, I understand why a triple threat is probably going to happen there. A little hard to hook me in right now with that because, again, I feel Rhea's a huge player. Bianca's a huge player. One-on-one, face-to-face, mano-a-mano, woman versus woman. You get that. That one-on-one is just so easy, but trying to build me why I care about the third wheel and how they're involved is sometimes tougher to do. That one's got a championship on the line, so it might be a little bit easier, but triple threats and hard, it takes a little bit for me to care about three. A little bit. But I will say, moving on from Monday Night Raw to NXT, I thought NXT was the show from the week. If I had to have tickets to one or the other and money wasn't on the line, I mean, yeah, Raw and MSG in front of 20,000, that is really cool. But NXT, I thought really delivered because it was not like a Raw. It wasn't an NXT top heavy. It was heavy throughout, right? This is like a pay-per-view. And they built it kind of as such. Roadblock, right? All the matches were great, kicking off with the Hardys and their TNA championships on the line, ending the night with Stephanie Vakir as Stephanie Two Belts Vakir, if you will. What did you make of NXT in the theater in New York City?
I thought it was really good. I mean, it was interesting. The match that I cared least about, which was Javon Evans and Ethan Page, actually was the longest match of the night, which was very interesting. But no, from top to bottom, you mentioned it. It wasn't top heavy. It was really good all the way throughout. I mean, the only match, they could have saved it, but I see why they put it in there was Javon Evans and Ethan Page, which they delivered. Let's be honest, it was a good match. I mean, the highlight for me, obviously, and you heard it on the broadcast, there was a lot of meat in the ring between Obafemi and Moose. All we heard is meat. That was like and like Booker T said something and it was about meat, and Vic Joseph's like, yeah, I'm not going to be the one saying that, but it was like watching those two throw bombs and just they lay into each other really good. Obviously, Oba won the match. It was a good showing for both, I thought. And that was I think that was the second. Yep, it was the second longest match of the night. The Hardys, they're timeless. I was on WWE's official YouTube page, and the first comment I saw was, "Wait, the Hardys are like 50? Like they look pretty good for being as old as they are." And shout out to what is it? Fraxium, is that what it is?
Yes.
It's
Nathan
Fraxium, Frazier,
yes.
and Axiom.
The NXT Tag Team Champions, yes.
Yes, I mean, I thought that was a good match as well. The Hardys looked pretty good. Obviously, they won the match. Jordan Grace, Roxanne Perez. What else can you say? They're bona fide stars, obviously, and that was a good match. And Jordan Grace won that. And then, obviously, you mentioned it. Stephanie Two Belts, Vaquer. That was another great match. There was a great back and forth. I'm obviously by putting two belts on Stephanie Vaquer, obviously they have big things in store for her in the future. And I'm not just talking NXT. She's going to get the call up sooner rather than later. She's a bona fide star. Obviously, Julia in defeat still looked great. I think she's a bona fide star as well. NXT is in good hands right now, and the future of WWE is in good hands because, again, great show from top to bottom.
I like how, with WrestleMania coming a little bit later this year, it seems like we're going to get back into more WrestleMania season in April. And for the next couple of weeks, I'm actually just interested not in the necessarily the WrestleMania build, but the program itself for like the rest of March before we just start going to a lot of go home shows because they're going over to Europe and they're hitting a lot of cities that I've never even seen them. I mean, London and stuff like that we've seen, but like they're starting out with like in Barcelona, Spain for SmackDown. They're going to like Italy. They're going to Brussels. I mean, I know I've watching a lot of old WWF Coliseum videos back in the day where they tape matches from all over the world. But those are some markets that, they've probably hit before, but like even like I'm just not very familiar, like Brussels, like in Belgium and Italy, again, I'm familiar that they've probably been there before. Absolutely. But like even back in the day when they do some Raws and SmackDowns overseas, they were still in London. They were still in maybe even like Ireland.
They would go to these other markets, but do it as more of a live event. So to get it televised over there is cool. We're getting our first taste of a Netflix Raw that's going to be very early in the day. I'll be watching that probably after dinner after it's aired.
Now, I guess the question is, will my VPN come in handy this week in the sense of letting me watch SmackDown live at like 3 p.m. as well? Because I know obviously on 8 p.m. and that's the thing too, like you were just talking about with Monday Night Raw and being on Netflix, no more tape delay, no more airing it early in the day and then airing it to the American audience later, right? It's going to be live. But with SmackDown only internationally on Netflix and then on the USA Network in the United States. I'm hoping maybe via Netflix I can watch these SmackDowns as they're happening.
You'll have to let me know and let our great fans here.
I have to say the VPN. I know someday they're going to figure it all out and end it all for me, but right now it is awesome because, like again, watching everything feels like a pay-per-view, not just Raw, but like NXT. Right? We don't go to commercial. We get to stay with the matches on NXT, and same with SmackDown. So and having all the shows in one place, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all being in one place is just awesome for that small fee that is to make yourself feel like your internet is international. But it's going to be interesting. I'm just interested in the crowds, right? Crowds are always awesome overseas. Interested in the layouts because it's not going to be your typical setup because some of these arenas, they don't got basketball and hockey like we're used to over here. So the arena layouts might be a little bit different. And again, the shows, they're going to try to put on some good shows, I'm hoping, because to them, it's a pay-per-view. If you're in Belgium, you're maybe not going to WrestleMania and you don't get that opportunity. So this is a huge event. Ticket prices in like London are showing that. I don't know if I could afford to go to SmackDown this time in London like I did a couple of years ago based on the ticket prices for this stuff. So, I'm looking forward to it. It should be awesome. And what a way to go out to New York City, Madison Square Garden as your last show. And I think the first show back is Chicago. I think a cool way to kind of break up WrestleMania season and kind of get away from just maybe the monotony we'd be currently in of just kind of building up and like kind of put on some top-notch Raws and SmackDowns where WrestleMania is in the background before we pull it back to the foreground. So I think that's really awesome with them imagine all of the WWE stars heading overseas. I'm just very curious about the arrangements of living because, they're not coming back. They're gone there for a month. So like the CM Punks are not like coming back after SmackDown and Raw's over. So they're going to be there Monday through Friday. There's not a ton of house shows around the events. So they're going to be essentially like Michael Cole is living in Europe from now until April. So that's that. I'm just curious about that kind of thing going on.
Airbnbs.
And they get to actually experience the place because, again, they're going to be there from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown. There's 4 days in between, and there might only be a house show or no house shows.
Don't be surprised, though, because of the world we live in, like Airbnbs are a thing. So I could see some superstars getting some Airbnbs together out there.
I imagine most of the superstars with the TKO world are hooked up with where they're staying and where they're going and all that kind of stuff. But just interesting. One last thing I asked is Pat McAfee. Do you think we're out of him for Monday Night Raw for the rest of the month?
That is a good question that if I had to guess, I would say yes. I think they're going to throw Corey Graves in there, I feel like Corey Graves is going to be a guy that, wouldn't be surprised that he'll jump in because I don't see Pat doing it because Pat's got all his activities here in the United States.
Yes.
I don't see it being a thing. Like it's going across the pond is a huge thing. It's not like he could fly to Buffalo in his private jet, be home.
Going across the pond for a whole month is a big thing. Yes.
Yeah, well, just in general. I mean, it's a lot. But if you're like in Buffalo, New York, he takes his private jet home. He's back in Indy, early-ish in the morning. But then he can still get some sleep and then do his Pat McAfee show in the Thunderdome in Indianapolis the next morning. Not a big deal, or next afternoon, I should say, because it's 11 o'clock. I think it's 11 o'clock his time, 12 o'clock our time. But still, the point is he could do it. I don't think he's doing it in Europe.